Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Wednesday, the 1st of November. I am Flat Cap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. October is wrapped up and packaged. It ended on a number of occasions the last few days for the channel, but finally did end on Tuesday. So October is done. We'll get to the stats, but November is starting. We have arrived at November, the official start of the channel week, although we have had 2 bonus vids already this week. So let me do a bit of a rundown. We've got the Wednesday's bets, that's the important bit. £21 stake, so a tiny wincy bit above an average £20 stake. That is in the form of 3 Yankees, all on the all-weather. Got 4 horses at Dundalk, 2 Lingfield, 6 at Kempton, 12 horses, 10 races. That is the plan. So we'll get to that. I've got to do a recap on Saturday, the official video, last official video. Then we've had bonus videos on Monday and Tuesday, and there was nothing going on Sunday, so just got to do that. A mention on the golf from last week, which didn't go so well. I've got golf this week, so the golf stuff I'll give you a bit of a kind of an overview, but it's going to be in the comments. So I'll mention that, but it's the Worldwide Technology Championship over in Mexico, but it's the USPGA Tour stuff that is coming at you. For the golf, it is £9, but that's four in the main market, 5 in the side market, and not everyone will be able to do the side market bet because it's very bookie specific. That's that. And then I was going to talk about betting account restrictions, and then as far as the tips and stuff goes, I haven't quite got there with stats. Stephen sent me all his stuff, which is fantastic, but I'm going to do that on tomorrow's vid. So tips and stuff on there. But I mean, hasten to add, I think most people realised Des Gibbons must have been at the wedding of his life. Had 4 horses, 3 of them won, 2 of them particularly nice prices. Told everyone at the wedding, brilliant time. And then one of them he stuck 10 points on for his tips to league stuff. So well done, Des. And you, along with Secret Lemonade Drinker, had both those 2 double price horses at Cheltenham on Saturday. But unfortunately for you, Samar Kevin still managed to hit a winner with his one and only stake. So we'll get to tips stuff tomorrow, but those 3 are absolutely rocking that competition right now. You'd have thought the switch to the jumps might give different people a play, but no, they're very clearly three top guys at the moment. All right, that's that. So Saturday, we had 15.50 on, 5.69 back. As I recall, I had a win bet where the middle leg got done on a bit of it was head and a neck, and that was the difference between 60 quid return and the 5 quid we did actually get. So another missed little one by a small margin. The each way bets weren't so good. There wasn't loads, but it wasn't great. It was tough on Saturday. If you actually look at the results, I mentioned about the tips to competition. 2 double price horses at Cheltenham, both Henry de Bromhead. Outside of those 2, there's 1 horse 10 to 1 elsewhere. I think nothing else double figures hit as a win, and that's what you got on Saturday. It was really low price stuff. And then since then there's been a few bigger prices knocking up. There was one on was it Monday? I think it was Monday. I want to say it was called Game Nation at 50 to 1. I went back and looked at that. I'm not sure quite how I missed it. I don't remember reading the form. I mean, I know that sounds stupid because it's like I'm not trying to tell you I remember vividly the form of every single horse every single day. But there was just stuff in it that I'm like, I could see how that horse there was. I just can't believe when I went through the market, I either completely missed the horse or it absolutely wasn't anywhere near that price. But yeah, Shamey Heffernan won at 50 to 1 riding it, and the form 50 to 1, it was well worth it. It was. I looked at it and I was like, it's a 50 to 1 winner. It should have been about 20s, but I'd have absolutely backed it at 50s had I noticed it. So anywho, there's been some big price ones. Clearly I haven't been on the winners, have I? So then since then, Sunday was a bit of a meh day. I had a little bet on 1 race, that was it. And then Monday, I did 5 in the comment. No, it wasn't the comments. I actually did a vid, didn't I? I did 5 on the vid. One place at 33 to 1, but not everyone got paid out. That was it. And then Tuesday was a bit better. Put 4 up at the Curragh. And 1 was a non-runner. 2 placed. The last one, Make Good, very nearly won. And then scuppered on the first leg, which I was really cross about. Like, I don't mind, right, if you get beat fair and square, you pick the wrong horse or whatever. But when you're picking a horse and you're specifically picking it because you're thinking, do you know what, the ground's pretty heavy and it's got a decent enough draw, a decent enough jockey. Everything looked in your favour. It's Pinel del Rio, I think, whatever it was. Where's the Joyce was riding it? Everything looked to me like in good favour in that race, and so therefore if you get beaten, you get beaten. The problem I have is the running style of the horse. The running style of the horse, and it was one of the things I quite liked about the horse, was the fact it's a horse that runs up with the pace. And at the Curragh, generally speaking, because the ground was so crappy, you weren't going to come from very far back. So you needed a horse that was either kind of going to try and front run, like you saw. Rodney Bay was a great winner from that, really, really, really well ridden. But you're either going to go from the front or up with the pace. And that horse, every time it's run, Pina del Rio or Ray or whatever it was, runs well up with the pace, and just held it up in rear, and so it made a bit of progress, but it was never going to get there. It's a horse that runs up with the pace. I don't understand. And that stuff is frustrating when you think everything looks in order and either the jockey has made a weird decision, the connections have told him to do something that seems weird, or they just sort of thought maybe we'll just try different tactics this time out. But that horse absolutely is one to look for, because that'll get put down as a bit of a duff run, when actually it wasn't run to the race. It didn't run to suit. It wasn't a pacey race. It could have got to the front. Anywho, that's my little rant about Pino Del Rio. Either way, we made a small profit with those two. So I got that as what? So Monday was 11 on 380 back. Tuesday 9 on 1394 back. So 20 on 1774 back for the week. Minus 2.26. 226. Last week overall, that ended minus 26. October we finished finally minus 29. So frustrating to have another lost month. But to be honest, I'm just a bit. I'm sure lots of viewers are fed up. I'm just a bit fed up with this just sort of madness, like of getting a little, winning, getting it back a little, losing a little. You know, they're either sort of 20 quid up weeks, 20 quid down weeks. So the point here is, I'm not preaching to say, like, I'm going to win you loads of cash. That's not, I'm never saying that. I say what I do is profitable. I'm trying to convert what I do for myself into fitting this into the channel, whilst knowing that everyone's using different bookmakers, whilst knowing that there's a fixed point of time when I put the video out, and I don't know who's going to get it. Whereas in my personal kind of stuff, I'll be doing stuff at different times of the day and whatever. So I'm trying to convert what I do personally profitably into a fixed thing at a fixed period of time, which is no mean feat. And I'm also, hamstringing myself, because I 100% believe that you should be transparent about your statistics. And there's plenty of people out there are not, and there's plenty of people out there people think do really, really well, and they don't do really, really well. They just have lots of short price winners, or even money favourites and all that sort of jazz. So I'm never going to be here to turn out a load of winners. But yeah, just really overdue in something decent. It's just been a bit meh. And I know from my own personal statistics, if I take the channel aside, the last 5 months, because it doesn't always quite work out. When the channel does well, I do well, or the channel does badly, I do bad. It didn't quite work out, but it often does. But the last 5 months have just been a bit meh. Like, for my own personal stuff, it's sort of not really made any progress with stuff. And actually, the start of the year, although January wasn't good, there was a few months of hitting some things. So, yeah, it's just sort of been a bit. I don't know. It's been a slow year, and either it's just going to be a slow year, or it might be that we hit something November, December, or it might be maybe the game shifted that much. That it's can't completely do what you've done what I've done before, and that's one of the challenges. You've got to keep monitoring what you're doing, keep tweaking what you're doing, staying ahead. And that's when I'm going to talk about betting account restrictions. I'll come on to that one. So that is that stuff. Let's do the bets. We'll do the bets. That's what everyone's here. We'll do the bets. Then we'll talk about golf and betting restrictions. I think that's what I said I was going to talk about. Right, bets. Here we go. Here's the Dundalk special. 2:30 Dundalk. Bobby K 9-1. Hoping that's still about 9. That was the one that was a bit teetery on prices. It was looking more like 17-2 in a lot of places, but there were still free bookies at 9:00, 9-1 when I started the video. So I will double check that. 4 o'clock, Sunset Nova 14s, 5:05 Bring Us Paradise 25s, 5:35 took it last time, regular on the channel Gumama 14s. Particularly keen on the fact that Keen's been put on to ride that one. 20p each way Yankee, and then we've got 350p each way singles. So no single on Bobby K, but we've got 50p each way singles on the bottom three. 740 is the bet. Sky are advantageous at Dundalk, and what I would absolutely say to you is, if you've got a choice of all the bookies in the world, the last one I'd choose is William Hill for Wednesday. So I can't say it enough. Like when it's stuff like this, most of these races they're 3 places when almost every other bookie is 4 places. They are so bad for Wednesday comparatively to other bookmakers, but particularly at Dundalk. But it does translate that on all my bets, William Hill are the last of the major bookmakers. I mean, I never mentioned Bet Victor. They are terrible for my sort of stuff, right? I don't have a Bet Victor account. I wouldn't go anywhere near Bet Victor. Not any judgment on them as a bookmaker or anything else, other than for my style of betting, Bet Victor is an absolute no-no. But Hills are really bad on Wednesday, so I am advising against using William Hill on Wednesday. Now, if I hit a few winners, brilliant. And if all the horses come in the first 3 rather than the first 4, you're not going to have a problem. But if you've got choice, do not use William Hill on Wednesday for my selections. That is what I'm saying. 740 is the bet. That's bet 1. And then bet 2 is my 2 Lingfield, 2 Kempton bets. So bet 2, 308, just missed it slightly on that one. It was solid 12s and gone into 9s before I did the vid. Alexi Boy 9-1. It's only a 6-runner race. It's the rank outsider the night before. Absolutely should not be the rank outsider. It's probably more about a 4-1 kind of a horse. So 12's really good. 9's still happy with, but yeah, it's not going to be that. I say that. I'd be very, very surprised if that's still the 6th favourite of 6 runners when we come to post time. And they've got 338 Lingfield, Pablo Prince 11s, the 545 Kempton. I've snuck one in there in a bit of a novice-y, maiden-y typey race. I can't remember if it's a novice or a maiden, but Saphira. There's a lot of unraced horses in there. In terms of form in the book, there's not many of them, but that's the second best one. So outside the odds-on favourite, that's the second best horse. Clearly, there's a lot of well-bred horses that haven't raced, but I'll take the form in the book at 40-1 on that one, just to have a little speculation. And then the 6:15 Kempton, we backed that a couple of times. Follow Your Heart 9-1, 20p each way Yankee. Then we've got here, this is the top 2, the Lingfield 2 50p win singles and a 40p win double. So just make sure we've got that 50p win singles and 40p win double on those top 2, and then a 50p each way single on Saphira, and that makes it 680 a bet. Sky are advantageous, then a bog bookie like 365 Paddy or Coral, not Ladbrokes because they're not the same place terms as the others. So 365 Paddy or Coral next best. Again, I'd be advising against Hills for bet 2. And then finishing off this one, I've got 1 Dundalk, 3 Kempton, 535 Dundalk, Curious Bride at 10s, 615 Kempton, Soar Above 12s, 645 Kempton, Treacherous 11s, and 715 Kempton, See Me Dance 12s. If you're quick, you might get the 16s for See Me Dance on 365, which is a brilliant, brilliant price. I think that horse is probably about 6-1, 13-2 in my book. So nice bit of value on that one. 20p each way Yankee. Then we've got 50p win singles. So it's just win singles, 50p win singles on all 4. So that's nice and straightforward. And then we've got a final 40p win double on the last 2 of the staking plan. The Treacherous and See Me Dance, 40p win double. 680 the total. Sky best. And then we've got 365 Paddy or Coral, who are joint second best, and then Betfair, Unibet, Betfred, Betway. You heard it again, not Hills. Don't use Hills if you can avoid it. All right, that's the plan. £21. The golf, I mean, I've already mentioned the golf. We've basically got 4 singles in the golf. So it's all going to be in the description. I am advising 8-place markets, which you can get usually on Paddy, Betfair, and Hills. Sometimes Coral Ladbrokes, but the bookmaker advisory is Paddy, Betfair, Hills, 365 or Sky. Those are the 5 different ones for different golfers, but that's what I'm advising on those. The watch out if you're using stuff like 365. Their default setting is a quarter of the odds top 5. Then if you look at the top 8, it will give you fifth of the odds top 8. So I'm advising the top 8 market on those. But yeah, what I've written down is the best available price with the major bookies at the time of making this video. So 4 golfers in there, and it's the same stake, you'll see. So that's £4 if you want to do that in terms of how I would advise of the channel. But as a reminder, I don't record it for stats. Then the side bet, I think you can only do it at 365 and Paddy. So you need a 365 or Paddy account to do the side bet. It's a top category win Yankee bet. So 4 nationalities: top Swede, top South African, top Asian, top British / GB and Ireland. Same market because of the golfers are the same because there's no Irish golfers involved. So yeah, four of them. With is there any? Did I do any of that? Yes, I think it's a double. I think it's a win Yankee and a little double on that one. So yeah, I had a right look through, and there's a couple in the win markets in like it's the Asian one and the British one. There's I think it's about 7. I think it's 7 golfers, which look decent enough. Maybe the British one's less than that. But then the South African and the Swedish markets, both 3 players, rank outsider in both. So yeah, it's I think they were definitely worth taking. So that's that. It'll be in the description, not description. It'll be in the comments. It'll be in the comments. If you want the golf, it's in the comments. It'll be there for you. And then the final thing was about betting account restrictions. And then coincidentally, I had and an email about it this week as well. But I was going to talk about it anyway because I was really darked at the weekend. Right. So we talk about betting account restrictions on here from time to time, and some people know exactly what I'm talking about. They've had multiple accounts restricted. Get the dreaded email from the bookmaker to say that we've reviewed your account and given your our current assessment of your account, you're no longer eligible for X, Y, and Z benefits, and we're also going to restrict your stake. So a lot of people following the channel have had that from Sky Bet, but there'll be others who have had it from other bookmakers. Now, the thing with it is if it never happened to you, you hear about people talking about it and you think, wow, that's not very good, but it's never happened to me, so maybe it's not quite as what they say or whatever it might be. If you make money from betting, it'll happen to you eventually. And the frustration I had at the weekend, right? And I'm going to try and explain this, and I think I'm okay saying what I'm saying, but as I try and be a little bit cautious where I can. And maybe I haven't been cautious enough, and that's why that's what happened at the weekend. But yeah. So if you've got an account, right? So when I started this channel, I started with a Sky Bet account, and it got restricted. I think after 10 months in, we got about $2,500 up, and it was about 10 months in, and my account got restricted for the channel. I was still able to use it for quite some time after that. And that was one I set up specifically for the channel. Now, if you're making a few grand on an account like that, then to me it's inevitable you get restricted, irrespective of whatever ways you can try and kind of hide to the bookmakers. They'll all see ultimately the amount of money you've made, even if there's some funny, weird-looking bets along the way. Now, it's sort of part of the game, whether you like it or not. There's only so much, people will allow you to do that. It's the same thing if you went to a shop. If all you kept doing is doing the special offers all the time, eventually they'd say, no, that's it's not all right. I used the example before of going to a fairground. If you went to a fairground stall and you paid £5 and you won every time because you were really skilled at whatever the thing was, eventually the fairground store holder is going to say to you, I don't want your business anymore. And I don't know. I get why people eventually restrict you, but I absolutely have challenge with is when people restrict you too early. So Saturday morning, at a non-specific time, I got the dreaded email for an account, and I was like, hang on a minute, this account's not even in any money. Like, literally, I don't use it that often, right? So I had an account with Coral. I'll tell you, it was Coral, and I looked at it. I was like, I used it one day about a week ago from Saturday, and before that, it was about 3 or 4 weeks before that. It's not been a heavily used betting account, and it's actually it was a very small deficit, right? So I'll say about 50 quid, right? So it was really, really minor. I think it was about minus 50 quid in this betting account. And I appreciate some people go, oh, so you've lost £50. Like, scale everything I do up, account minus £50 because it hadn't been used very much. It's not really mean much. And and I was like, what is that? Like, and so the account, and just to be clear, the account is a legitimate account that is in my name, with all the correct details on, right? So it's not some bogus account that someone set up and whatever. It's actually my account that I set up. I just don't use the Coral account very much, but yeah, it's minus £50, and it's just like, right, okay, there's something very, very sus about that to me, because that is not like recent betting activity. Like, if I've used that account once in a month, right, and on that day, I think I made about £2 on whatever I did, right? It was really like just a nondescript winning amount. So there's not a big win on that account. There's not an overall profit on that account, and there's not a lot of activity on that account. And it's not like that account's being used just to siphon off all the offers and that kind of stuff. That isn't what it's there. I haven't got time to do all that stuff. I make more money just normal gambling than using all that stuff. But I was like, right, okay. And then I realised, oh, hang on a second, that's not the only email I've had. I've had an email from Ladbrokes. Now, again, I'll say this, the details on both those accounts were identical because they were set up at the same time. Not exactly in the same hour, I would say, roughly in the same couple of weeks, because I usually set up accounts, do a few at the same sort of time when there's particularly good offers on. And that Ladbrokes account, right? The stupid thing with that is, literally, the account had been opened with a deposit amount, and I haven't even used it. I haven't used the account. I've literally set it up and put a deposit in it, and this is about a year ago, because how often do I actually talk about Ladbrokes? There's plenty of other bookmakers I can generally find that are better than Ladbrokes for a lot of what I do. So I'm like, and those emails landed in my inbox instantaneously. So they both arrived exactly the same time. Now, for those of you who don't appreciate, like Coral and Ladbrokes, they are part of the same company. So clearly, the two companies talk to each other and share data, right? So if you ever want an example of how two bookmakers who work for the same overall company treat customers in the same way, I haven't had any issue with either of those bookmakers for anything that I'm aware of. But both counts got instantly restricted at the same time. So that meant I can't use any offers, which I wasn't using those of anyway. I can't use any BOG, which I would have absolutely used in those accounts. And my overall restrictions are limited. Now, I haven't tried to place a bet with those accounts since, because I'm not that asked to find out what the level of restriction is, because it usually starts at a certain level and goes down when you get accounts restricted. But as a working example of how bad it is getting out there, that's two accounts, neither in profit. One was in a 50 loss and one literally had a deposit put in it, but those two companies linked. Now, my worry is, right, so this is me thinking out loud. Why were they restricted? What made them restrict those accounts? Now, if I had the energy and inclination, I could absolutely write and ask the question about why is it that's happened? Why have you sent this to me? But the thing that concerns me is I have had accounts with other bookmakers that were restricted that had the same details, i.e. the same email address that I used for those accounts. And that concerns me in all this stuff that's out there at the moment about the Gambling Commission and people being encouraged to do checks and stuff like that. Why are two accounts that, other than the fact they're owned by the same company, been restricted at exactly the same time for apparently no good reason. Now, if they're sharing data with if other bookmakers are, and was always my worry with the Gambling Commission stuff, if bookmakers are encouraged to share data, if they're sharing data with each other, i.e., oh, by the way, Coral and Ladbrokes, this is so-and-so from whatever bookmaker, here's some email addresses of accounts we've restricted because we didn't like their activity. Maybe you should have a think about whether you want to restrict those accounts too. That's my only thing I can think of about why I would be restricted, because there's nothing I've done on those accounts to make them anywhere near suspicious, and I haven't made any money, but I've been restricted. So I know that was a bit long and rambly, but I'm hoping for some people they can either identify, but also it's enlightening, right? The ultimately what we're trying to do here is, I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to play a game that is massively corrupt, and it is getting harder and harder all the time to do that, to do this, to win. And I think there's a lot of people who subscribe to the same thought I do. Is eventually the fun's just not going to be there. Like, so even if you're a hobby punter, and I don't know, like you might be making £1,000 a year, let's say, right? So it's just a little hobby, and you make £1,000 a year, and that's fine. You can pay for a holiday, and it's just your interest on a Saturday. And ultimately, if the bookmakers just go, no, we don't want your trade anymore, and we're going to make it harder, so the prices are going to shorten up a little bit, and we're not going to give you. But I mean, the bog is less and less. No one's doing bog the night before now, and then even on the morning, it's not there, and it will vary in different times. Eventually, bog will go, and that's going to make it so much harder for so many people to make a profit, because some people rely on the advantage of best price guarantee to make themselves money. Fortunately, and that isn't how I do stuff, so I'm not reliant on bog. It helps a little bit for certain things that I do, but ultimately, all the big wins I've kind of got, not necessarily bog related wins. They're the thing I do, which is trying to find value from horses where I know they should be shorter in the betting market. But yeah, I was livid on the weekend. I was like, it's just ridiculous, right? So yeah, if you're going to restrict me for nothing, A, that's ridiculous, but B, what's made you do that? Because and clearly, that's two bookmakers who work together. So in these conglomerates where there's certain companies that own multiple bookmakers, you do expect it, but that's them sharing the data with themselves and shutting it down. There are clearly plenty of other smaller bookmakers out there that you can go and try your luck with. There's a lot of bookmakers out there, but yeah, right. I'm stopped talking about that. But yeah, any experiences you've had, feel free to slot it in the comments. Let's talk about that. I think that was it. Was it? Was it? I feel like I've been talking about that for half an hour. Right, we've done the bets, and I've talked about all the stats, and I mentioned about the golf. So the golf will be in the comments, and then tomorrow I'll do the tips to league stuff in properness. But outlook for this week. Mention the outlook for this week. Thursday, it's actually quite a lot of meetings now. I think they've added in a few extra all-weather ones. We'll see what the weather does. But the weather forecast, there's more storm warnings. I think what we're on to Storm Kieran. Every week, Storm Babette's gone. We've got Storm Kieran. I think it's Kieran. We'll see how that goes on Thursday and what damage that does to the race in Canada. And then Friday, Saturday, we'll see kind of how waterlogged everything is. But what we have got Friday, Saturday, which I may well have a little interest in, is Breeders' Cup over at Santa Anita. Santa Anita? It's one of them ones I can't say properly. In the US, it's the Breeders' Cup, and it's on in sort of like evening right through till late in the evening. They always have a bunch of races on, as in way more than you'd get in the UK or Ireland in terms of the amount of races. And lots of top quality stuff. So there'll be a few kind of UK and Ireland based horses that'll be going over and whatnot. So I will be having a little look at it. It's not something I'm going to go massive on, I don't think. But I'll probably have a little bit of a dabble. So I shall keep you updated. But that'll be Friday, Saturday as well as the normal stuff for Breeders' Cup. But yeah, I'll have a little look. All right, I think that's it. I'm going to finish there. I'll be back on Wednesday night, but hasten to add, November, November's our month, right? That's it. That's what we're saying, right? I'm not. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to do this whole. November's going to be my best month ever. Like, honestly, I've got so many contacts telling me November's good. I ain't talking about that. I'm just saying, from a positive point of view, November, we're going to come for you. We're going to come for you. We're due November, and we're going to take you down to Chinatown. That's what's happening. All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.